As an academy owner, you work hard to build trust with your students, their parents, and your community. But trust isn't something you claim, it's something you prove and earn. That's where Academy Safe comes in. We help academies like yours stand out with verified safety standards. Background checks for all staff, U.S. Center for Safe Sport certification, concussion training, defibrillators on site, CPR, first aid and AED certification, security cameras, rank and lineage checks, and verification of business insurance. Join the trusted martial arts registry that's redefining safety throughout North America. Lead by example. Show parents you're accredited with Academy Safe.
Hello, and welcome to My Empty Hands, a podcast about the martial arts, typically focused on Kempo, but we give all martial arts some love around here. As always, I am Reggie Darden, and I have another great guest with me today, Ian Lauer, and we are going to talk about his martial arts journey, how the martial arts found him, and whatever other rat holes that we get onto, then we'll do that as well. I usually start things off by just giving a little bit of my background. I currently train in 5 different martial arts at this point: American Kenpo, Hapkido, Capoeira, Muay Thai, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I also have some experience in Taekwondo and boxing. So, needless to say, I stay pretty busy. But hey, it's fun. You can't choose just one. Can't have just one, and got to get all of that good training in. So that's what that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So we are going to turn things over to our guest here, and go ahead and tell us how did the martial arts find you? Where did it all begin? And we'll just run it from there.
Well, thanks for having me on the show here, Reggie. Yeah, it's funny, right? It's kind of like the Pringles. Once you pop, you can't stop, as they say. And there are a lot of different options out there, and it's hard to pick just one. So for me, I started a long time ago. A lot of similar background to you. Karate, Kempo, Dutch kickboxing, Taekwondo, Hapkido, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, quite a few different arts that I've studied over the years. But when I was little, I always wanted to do Kung Fu. So I would watch those old Kung Fu movies. And then, of course, around that time, Karate Kid came out. And, that was a big source of inspiration for a lot of folks that are my age. And then a little bit later, it was Bloodsport. So those were some of the movies that got me interested when I was younger. But yeah, so it was always a fascination, I guess, with watching those, like I said, the old Kung Fu movies that were dubbed, and, the crazy stuff that would happen in them that you would never be able to pull off in real life. But when you're 5, you think, oh, if I train enough, I'll be able to jump atop that building.
Exactly. No, I grew up with the Black Belt Theater and the Kung Fu Theater and the Shaw Brothers movies and all that good stuff, and then the same, getting into Karate Kid and Bloodsport, and I wore out all my tapes, all of those videos that I was not supposed to be watching at that young age, but of course. I mean, just a tangent in that we live in a very different time, and in that I think a lot of people seem to forget that movies like RoboCop and The Predator and Terminator were marketed to kids, or at least there were toy lines and
for sure,
children's TV shows for very I mean I guess you could kind of maybe slide a little, well, not really, but a little bit slide on a movie like Rambo, but
Well, yeah. I mean, they had a whole
RoboCop had
toy
a
line,
kids
like you said,
show, and
like the
that
toy
movie,
lines. I
yeah,
remember the fake knives and all
oh
that
yeah,
stuff, the
oh yeah,
headbands and all that for Rambo.
yeah, yeah. So it's crazy to think that yeah, there's no way any of that would fly today, but you know, times change.
Yeah,
So,
but what,
oh, go ahead.
like I was mentioned, I always wanted to do kung fu when I was starting as a youngster, and my parents were trying to find a school, and it wasn't like today. Like you just mentioned, times have changed. Back then, you didn't just hop online and find schools in your area. You'd have to look at phone books and ask people. And the closest kung fu school they could find was in Columbus, and we were close to Zanesville, Ohio. And back then, it's about an hour drive. But they also wouldn't accept kids of my age. So like that got shot down pretty quickly when they're like, yeah, too bad, too young. So some years later, we came across, my father worked with a guy whose son ran a karate school here in Zanesville. And that's how I actually finally got tied into a martial arts school again, because it wasn't like, you wouldn't go on Facebook and see all these different posts out there. It was a matter of, word of mouth, and maybe a phone book or a yellow page hatch.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing that kids don't have to deal with today is the phone book, and I was just reminded as I've been working on these episodes and now getting into the video and stuff. One of the recent recent ones that I was working on. We're talking about going to a school, and they were in the phone book and was like AAA awesome karate. It's like, all right, they understood the assignment about how
Oh
to
yeah,
get noticed in in the phone book when
get
you're
listed
looking for
first.
karate. Yeah. Very nice, very nice. So so that kind of first system that you got started in was that Kempo, or was that a different system, or?
It was a karate, but it was an eclectic system, somewhat like American Kenpo. So it's called Kazak Karate, and it's basically here in Zanesville, Ohio. They're still around, and it's a Shorin-ryu, loosely based, like Shorin-ryu. I guess what you would expect, military style judo, a little touch of Wing Chun, but mostly more karate with a little bit of judo thrown in, and some of the practices are similar to what we do in Kempo, where like our techniques, they have things that are kind of similar, more of an extemporaneous or what we would call formulation phase for our techniques, right? But that was my first system, and then well, I don't know which direction you want to go with this talk, but many years after getting my first black belt, I ended up in Los Angeles acting. And so I'd be going on auditions and everything, and my resume said black belt. So, I should be sharp in case I have to perform some skills. And went out there are no other schools like the one I trained at here in my hometown. So it wasn't like I could just walk into another school. Like if you're a black belt in a Taekwondo school, you can usually find a place that you can kind of know what's up. Or American Kenpo, sometimes you can find another school where you can kind of get into it, right? And things are close enough that you can build from there. Well, this other school that I started with, it wasn't an option. So I was out of practice, let's just put it that way. And I'd be going to auditions, and I mean, I would do okay if I had to do something, but I knew I needed to sharpen up. And that first system, I remember on my certificate, recognized by two different organizations, and one of the organizations had the word Kempo in it. Now, I don't know, there's American Karate Kempo and something, whatever it was one of those organizations that it was recognized by years ago. So in Los Angeles, I'd be driving past Master Hawkins' studio when I was going to Gold's Gym, over in Venice. So I'd see Kempo, Kempo, Kempo. And finally, one day I thought, you know what? I need to really sharpen up my skills for these auditions. And I remembered on my black belt certificate, recognized by whatever something karate Kempo association. I thought, oh, this will be easy. I already know this. So I stopped in, and I get in there and I signed up, and And Master Hawkins was there. Fortunately, that afternoon, I was there. I was there before class. It was like 2 o'clock, so nobody was there yet except for him. And we sat and talked for a half hour or whatever it was, and was super impressed with him. And I just said, I'm going to do this. And then, of course, the next day I was on the mats and trying to do short form one was completely different from what I was used to. And I thought, oh no, what did I do? Um, but I stuck with it. And that was a lesson, a good lesson, right? Is to try to keep learning. And it was a shot to the ego, of course, when you've worked your way up to at least black belt in a system, and you're like, oh, okay, I kind of know what's up. And then you step on the mats and it's a different system. You're like, holy cow, this is completely different. And then, that's a shot to the ego. But once you get past that, at least for me, I found I actually love putting the white belt back on, because it's like, nothing's expected of me. And I can give myself permission to not be good. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay. And it really is the whole thing. And everybody says it, you're always learning. Is when you're a black belt, you first start to learn. And that's true. But still, there's something to just putting a new white belt on and trying something that's completely out of your element. And I know, Reggie, you said that, one of the things you do is jujitsu. And when I was in Los Angeles, long story, but I was in Taekwondo, and that same school did Hapkido, and they shared space with an MMA school. And when locations changed and all this other stuff, I ended up starting jujitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And that was another prime example of like, oh, I'm strong, I'm fit, this will be fine. And of course, you have some level of intelligence, knowing it's not as easy as it looks for some people. But it was another one of those, like, okay, here we go again. Starting literally from the bottom.
Yeah, no, I can totally relate on a couple of fronts. One, so the school that I started at was essentially that of the Tracy's curriculum, and I did not, at the time, I did not know that there are different flavors of Kempo, and I trained for a number of years at that school, and when I started, fast forward to a number of years to the school that I'm at now, I was ready to jump in. Oh yeah, well I did Kempo for a number of years, and I did some Taekwondo, and I did some boxing, and done a lot of years of Capoeira, so I'm ready to get in and let's go ahead and slap my almost brown belt on and just get to work. And my instructor is like, no, you're gonna start a white belt, and it's like, what no, I don't know about that. But I mean, as soon as I got into the training, and there was a lot of things that we do in our current schools, current system, that we didn't do at my previous school, and not that that was bad or anything like that. It's just different. But the terminology and sayings and freestyle and things like that we didn't do at my original school. And so now it was like, oh wow, there's a whole lot of things I don't know, even though we have less techniques. So at my original school, it was a 40 technique per belt curriculum, and the school I'm at now, it's a 16 technique curriculum. And even though there's a whole lot less techniques to learn, there's a whole lot more other things to fill in those gaps. So just been just trying to absorb it all as much as I can. And then the kind of second thing that came up in when I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I was fine. I mean, I already did. It's like I know nothing about ground fighting and grappling and all of that stuff like that, and wrestling, anything like that. So I was fine with strapping the white belt on there. But I just love the story. And sorry, shameless self promotion, but my episode with Philip Bullock. I'm not sure the number at the moment, but a fairly recent episode that I put out with him. He is one of my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu professors, and Barry the lead, I had no idea that he was he got started in Kempo, and he was like, he actually got quite up there in the Kempo ranks, and then come to find out that he also trained under Paul Mills. It was like, why am I just all learning this now? But I love his story about his Brazil. I mean, he's all into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now, but I love his story about how he was convinced to go to the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school by one of his friends, and he's like, oh, well, I'm going to wear my black belt, and I'm a tough guy, Kempo black belt, and all this stuff like that. And his friend's like, do not wear your black belt to the Jiu-Jitsu school. Like, come as a white belt and get started. And kind of spoiler alert, he got his ass handed to him by a young kid at his first couple of classes, and he like asked this kid, oh, like, wow, how long have you been training? Like, you're pretty awesome. It's like, oh, I've been training about 6 months. And he was just getting destroyed. So I always love that. Don't be afraid to strap on that white belt and get started. It doesn't matter what art you've done and what art you're going into. It's just be ready to have that cup filled and start learning, and whatever goes from there is where it goes. So.
Well, and when I started into Taekwondo, basically once I got to first black in Kempo, I wanted to add Taekwondo and continue Kempo studies, of course. And it was the same thing, though. At that point, then I'd put a new white belt on again for Kempo. And I'm trying to think of the timing of things. And then I hadn't yet started jiu-jitsu. So I had a black in Kazakhs and then black in Kempo. And then I started Taekwondo / Hapkido with Jun Chong out in Los Angeles, who was head instructor for Philip and Simon Rhee. Actually, got to train with Master Philip Rhee on Monday nights a lot, and Master Jun Chong on Sundays. And then I was at their other school most of the other days. But all that to say, it was the gentleman that was running that location was like, well, you can just, he was trying to be nice, like you can just, wear your black belt and we'll just train you up until you're ready to actually test for our black, And I said, no, I'm going to go through it the right way, or what I felt was the right way, I should say. And other people may have their own view on that. But for me, my thought was, look, I don't want the instructors to look at me and make assumptions and skip over things that they would teach a white belt or a yellow belt or whatever that, need to be learned along the way to really understand, their style or their system. So yeah, that was what I did there. Started at white again and all the way through. And then I was a red belt black stripe, which in that system is the belt right before black. So, it was 13 or however many tests in, and then right at that point, COVID hit. So everything was crazy. And like I said, I think a while ago, I mentioned that, I was at this school that was shared by a Taekwondo school and an MMA school. And with everything with COVID and everything that got bounced around, I ended up continuing with my primary Taekwondo instructor in the park, and would occasionally at that point go into Master Chung's studio on Wilshire. So, I mean, it was just, everything went haywire there for a while with COVID.
Yeah, I hear you. There was I had a long gap in between my training and that kind of around the time of COVID, or a little bit before that. I was getting into meeting my wife and getting married and all that stuff like that. And I was like, all right, well, now that we've got this marriage thing, I mean, I got married just under the COVID wire, and I mean, I got married in December, and everything was shut down in February, March, early March. So made a good move there, but I was convinced that I was gonna get back into training and everything, and then COVID hits, everything gets shut down. And it's like, all right, well, got to wait this out. And
Oh yeah.
then things started kind of opening back up, and I was like, all right, I'm going to start training. And then there was the first set of variants and stuff that were coming out, and everything kind of got tight again. I was like, all right, I gotta wait again. So yeah, COVID really did a number on everyone, but there were many of us that were able to push through and still going strong. So I can relate to that. So so I admit I'm kind of jealous in that you're really in the kind of the mecca of training. I mean, one, working with Mr. Hawkins, that's already a
I've been very
huge.
fortunate. I definitely been very fortunate. My first instructor out here, well, Grandmaster Hardwick, so there was a gentleman named Master Moore who created the Kazak system, and was later one of his premier black belts was Sensei Hardwick, who later is now Grandmaster Hardwick, as Master Moore passed at an early age, much like Master Parker.
Mhm.
So had a really great instructor with him, and just a a great guy to work with. And he's been and he's still there's still the karate school here. Now he doesn't run the day-to-day operations, but he's still involved with it. And he's been one of my number one supporters since I've been back here, in a school in the same town, which is really cool of him. But then of course in Los Angeles, I mean, you just have a lot of options. I mean, with Master Hawkins, and it was just dumb luck. I kept driving by that Kempo karate sign, and it really was like the same month I started there, and I started at the Ruskin School, which is unrelated to martial arts, but it is an acting school because I was an actor for a lot of years. And the Ruskin School is actually a Meisner technique school where one of the founders, there's Mikey and John Ruskin was one of Sanford Meisner's assistants back in the day. And if people know acting, the history of acting in America, they would know who Sanford or Sandy Meisner is. So it was just one of those things where in that year, I really decided I had to focus seriously on my acting career. And that's why the martial arts and the acting school I got involved in the middle of that same year, just, gung ho. But it's just funny. I kept driving by. I kept driving by both the places because they're like a half a mile apart. One's by the Santa Monica airport, and one's right in Mar Vista. I mean, they're right there. And so I
Gotcha.
finally jumped into both of them. And yeah. Oh, and that's what I wanted to mention a minute ago is the reason I went into Taekwondo was to improve my kicks for the screen. So for acting, I definitely wanted to improve my kicks. And there are a lot of guys in Kempo that can kick well, but what do you think about when you think of kickers? Well, you think of Taekwondo, and so
Exactly.
that was the impetus for going into that. And one of my friends at the gym, he's been around the martial arts for a long time and does a lot of motion capture work and all this, and very well established in the martial arts community. And he says to me, I was talking to him like I didn't know if I wanted to do Wing Chun next or I wanted to do Taekwondo. And he's like, well, how old are you? And I told him I was almost 40 at that time. I think I was 38, 39. I don't remember exactly. He's like, well, if you're going to do Taekwondo, you better do it now. He said, it's one thing to learn those jump kicks when you're still a little younger. It's like, if you learn to do those jump kicks when you're young, chances are you can still do them as you get older. He said, but if you try to start doing them at 60, good luck. So that was that was kind of the push into Taekwondo at that point.
Yeah, no, I get that with my Hapkido training. One of the things that we have to do is falling and rolls, and as I'm starting to increase in my rank there, the difficulty level gets higher, and we work on all the falls and stuff every class, and pretty much every time we get to that section of class, I think, man, this would have been so much easier 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I can get through it, but now I'm starting to have to do the shoulder rolls and stuff over obstacles, and the obstacles are starting to get higher and higher. And it's like, Oh boy, oh my goodness, this is gonna get pretty wild. And I
It's
mean,
funny.
just the other
When I
day,
was,
just the other day, my instructor was like, "Oh, well, on this front fall, like, well, you kind of you could kind of get away with bending down first and stuff and doing that, but it's like." It's not exactly a requirement yet, but we're getting close to where like you're gonna have to like jump and fall
oh yeah.
and not just kind of do a little cheat. So I'm sweating that a little bit.
Yeah, I tell you, like when I did the first system, I was still, well, early teens. And, early teens, 140 pounds, so you get thrown and you just stand back up. You do it 20 times, it's not a big deal. When you're over 200 pounds and you're 2 or 3 times that age, it makes a big difference. But when you talk about your falls and whatnot, I don't know if you knew this about me, but one thing that I've done over the years is, I mean, like I mentioned a minute ago that I'm an actor, but I also do my own fighting on film and stunts. So I don't consider myself a stuntman because I'm not doing like crazy, you know, leaps off of 8-story buildings or anything. But years ago, when I was 22, 23, 24, I think, or my ages, I was Batman at Six Flags. And at different Six Flags shows, they had, it would, or just at parks, they would have a stunt show. And so I would do the zip lines or single-handed rappels and ride the dirt bike around as Batman. And one of the things you'd have to do on more than one occasion is what you were just talking about, those shoulder rolls, but you would just be running and jumping and over things and shoulder rolling on these cement or asphalt surfaces. And oh man, the worst thing about that I remember was you had the bat belt on, of course, right? And it had these big plastic clips that went on your back, right on the, I don't know, that lower back area. And when you do that roll from shoulder to hip, as you roll over, if that buckle was in the wrong spot, man, that cement and that buckle would just dig into your back. And yeah, I don't recommend that for anybody.
For sure. So what's the over under per week that you turn to the mirror and go, I'm Batman?
None anymore. I don't do it anymore.
Come
it
on
was a
now.
long. It's funny though because I mean, it's hard to. The years go by quickly. Let's just put it that way, and it just doesn't seem right. I was actually I just had my this past year was a 25-year college reunion, and it was like, holy cow, how is that even possible? And then I think about the Batman era and the friends that I made, and just the adventures of that. And again, I was 20, 22, 23, 24 ish, maybe 25 at the end of that, and it's more than it's so far in the rear view. It's crazy. Um, yeah. So yeah, I don't say I'm Batman anymore, but I did do when I was still in Los Angeles. A friend of mine, a good buddy, Guy Grundy, I've worked with him a number of times. One of which was on this film called Enter the Fire with Lou Ferrigno. But with Guy, he did some work on his own, and he put together this a web series. And in that, he was Bane and I was Batman. So
Nice.
yeah, I had a little bit of a revisit of the Batman in my early 30s.
Very nice, very nice, very nice. So kind of jumping back to the training. So like me, obviously I'm very into the cross training. So whenever I have someone that's trained in a number of arts, I ask if they ever did you have trouble with training between the different systems. So with me, I mean, just going from one version of Kempo to another, I still struggle on technique, especially ones that are shared. I mean,
Sure.
oh gosh, what was one just the other day? Oh gosh, I want to say Fallen Cross. I think it is.
Okay.
The name is escaping me, but in my previous system, or previous version of Kempo, I think it was called Breaking the Cross, and the
Oh yeah.
move are like the same, but in my first version, there was one. The elbow sandwich is is all over the first version of Kempo that I learned. So it gets
Sure.
inserted to a lot of techniques that I do now, and I get yelled at for this. Hey, this one doesn't have an elbow
Sandwiching
sandwich in
everything.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because I have students that have come in from, you know, one gentleman has come from a Tracy background primarily, and I have another gentleman that came in and very similar to what we already do. I mean, we're talking like 95% the same, and maybe even a little bit more minor details. Like in short three, maybe it's a wide kneel instead of a horse stance when we do grip of death. Think little things like that, but for the most part, pretty much spot on. But it is interesting to see the challenges between things that are already really close versus things that are very different. So to answer your question, yeah, I've had that challenge, going from our like just basic fighting footwork, right? In Kazak karate, we would have like our back foot would be, like at a 90, like it would be like 90-45. I don't know if you can see that there. And if you're listening without video, it's like instead of having your feet in our neutral bow, toe heel alignment, both feet facing on a 45, it would be more like heel alignment, more bladed like a typical Taekwondo fighting stance, but the front foot would be opened up to 45 degrees. So like learning those little changes. And then when I went from doing my Kempo into Taekwondo, and the front stances and back stances were polar, but way different. But it helps a lot now as an instructor because I have kids coming in that come from Taekwondo schools or just other karate schools or maybe from other. So I can relate and express to them that I too have felt the frustration that they have and understand the challenge. But that's one of the great things about Kempo, right? Is we have a reason for the things that we do, and I try to make sure that I explain to my students, like, look, this is what we do here. This is why. It's not to say that other things don't have their places. There may be a time and a place for most everything, but this is the reason why we do what we do. But that's one thing that I think is very important as an instructor, especially when you're working with students that coming from other schools or other systems, is expressing that you don't want to talk bad about another system. And again, there are things that other systems do super well, like Taekwondo. They great with kicks. I mean, you can't argue with that, or like Muay Thai, like you don't want to catch one of those leg kicks if you can help it. Like that was one of the things I trained was Dutch kickboxing, and it was Kyochikin and Muay Thai and all that. You put it together, and it's like, there's some great stuff in there. And to disparage other arts, that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's no one art has everything. I think back to the younger days and early days of the UFC and everything, and it was always, oh well, my style can beat your style and that sort of thing. And it's like, and then that little guy Hoyce came in and showed a different side of things. But yeah, there's no one art that has everything, and there are good points and bad points to every art. That's why we still keep learning them, and they still keep spreading, because there's something to gain from all of that. So,
and also, I mean, yes, of course, martial arts, being able to defend yourself, very important. But also, there are other lessons that come from the martial arts, and this, and most people know this, but sometimes that gets lost in conversation, and it's important to keep that in mind. And going to a school that's going to help instill that discipline, and obviously being able to defend yourself, but everything else that comes with it, because there's a lot more to it than just punching or kicking or choking people. There's
Exactly.
breaking arms
Oh yeah.
and poking eyes.
Oh yeah. Can't forget the eyes, and of course always restomp the groin. So.
Yeah. Well, I thought everybody did that.
So let's bounce over to the teaching side of it.
Sure.
When did you get involved with that, and was that something
Yeah.
that you were always
So,
interested in, or was it thrust
I mean,
upon you?
kind of all of the above. When I was here in Zanesville, I was Master Hardwick's first black belt. Not the first thing promoted to black belt, but the first person that started under him at a white belt after Master Moore was no longer here teaching to get a black belt. So once you're a black belt there, you help with teaching a lot. So I was helping a bit before I went away to college and all that. And then when I was in West LA at the West LA school at Master Hawkins School, once I got up to brown belt, I was teaching 1 or 2 noon classes per week. So, and then obviously through black belt, I continued to teach. So I was teaching again once or twice a week for years at the West LA school. And then I was a second black, and it was just time for something different. And I was talking to, well, my now wife, and she was on the other coast. And I decided, I wanted to spend some time with family and all this other stuff. And was kind of tired of being, not able to run around in California. And it was just a lot of things going on. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to move back to Ohio, at least for a while, and figure some things out. But all that to say, I waited until testing for third, because I was in 3 years. It's 3 years from second to third. At least you have to wait. And I was 2+ years into my second degree when I kind of made the decision it was time to, move. And so I stuck around until third degree. Because in the UKS, which is the organization that my school belongs to, the United Kenpo Systems, which is Master Brian Hawkins' organization, in the UKS, you have to be a third degree black belt to run a school. At least I think that's what it is. Otherwise, it's a club, which
Gotcha.
not bad to have a club. But so I wanted to make sure that I was around long enough in case I were to open my own school. Well, I got back. I left. Well, we had the test, and then the next day we had the annual banquet, and then the next day I was driving from California to Ohio, to give you an idea of the time frame. And so that was November, early mid-November. And then when I got back here, I looked up at jiu-jitsu school because my old karate school, I'm like, I'll go there and help them out. And then I was looking for a jiu-jitsu school because I've been training for a few years in jiu-jitsu in California at that time. I wanted to do that when I got back here. And there was a school locally here in the mall. Oh, okay, I'll give it a try. And Jason, the guy that runs that school, we got on well, and I started up there basically November. So I started there as soon as I got back in jiu-jitsu, kept going with that. I was helping out Kazakhs. And then I told Jason, I said, I'd kind of like to, I'm thinking I'd like to open my own school. And it's like, well, why don't you just pay me some rent and do it here? And so, well, guess. And then, so January, I started teaching a couple times a week out at his location in the mall. And that was January 1st or 2nd. I think technically it started on this January 2nd. And, when I started, I made sure my days were staggered from his and from the Kazakh school, because I was trying not to step on any toes anywhere. And then, so basically, November 15th-ish, December. So I was home like 6 weeks and opened a school.
Very
Started, and then it got to where 6 months in, we started getting busy and had to add another day. And then in the second year, it got busier, and his school was growing a lot. And it got to where we both couldn't be teaching at the same time, because his setup was like 2 mats separated by a large doorway. And one of us would be on one side and one of us would be on the other. Well, it just got to be where his mats were full, or I'd have a big class. And it's like, and so I found another location that I used for a while for a third day, or whatever day it was. I can't keep track. And then finally, January 1st of what was the beginning of our third year, or the end or second anniversary, beginning of third year, however you want to look at it. I got my own space, which is in the mall right next to where I was. And we just wrapped up our first full year there. So we just had our third year anniversary total for our school, and yeah, we're growing and yeah, doing well. And then I was going to Columbus is the largest major city in relationship to where we are in Zanesville. And I figured there are probably some guys that were around before that would love to do American Kenpo. It's just hard to find now. And so I thought, you know what, I would like to open something in Columbus one of these days. Well, I was on my porch doing some reading and got inspired to make some calls and didn't get a hold of anybody. Probably 3 months later, I was reading again. I got inspired to make some more calls, and I got a hold of somebody. And this was at the YMCA in Pataskala, which is kind of east side of Columbus. It's not in Columbus, but Columbus adjacent, let's say, right? And got a hold of this lady there. And she's like, you know what? Our Tang Sudo guy just recently left, and we'd love to have a martial arts program. I said, oh. I said, well, I'm thinking sometime next year. And bear in mind, this is September of last year. I said, sometime next year, once I get things a little more solid at my Zanesville location, I'd like to start out there. She's like, well, I was thinking sooner. Oh. I said, okay, how about we start the new year, January 1st? She says, how about October 1st? I said, okay. so that's pretty much how that happened. It was mid-September, and October 1st, we started our Pataskala location. And it's growing as well. And yeah, so another thing that we just started January of this year. So this month, I started what we call the ILKK Golden Club. And so I used to train, I train a lot of little kids, right? And the grandmother of a couple of my little Cobras called me out of the blue the end of last year and said, hey, would you be interested in teaching Kempo to our seniors? So, sure, what are we talking about? So we had a meeting, and I went over to the Muskingum County Center for Seniors, and we started our Golden Club, Ian Lauer's Kempo Karate Golden Club, the beginning of this year. And we've had 2 classes so far. We were off for Martin Luther King Day, and then today we were off because of the weather. We got 16.9 inches of snow yesterday. So it was a level 3 snow emergency. But anyway, all that to say, we had over 30 people at our first day. And then the second day, when I figured everybody would quit, we still had like 26, 27 people. And I know people that want to do it that weren't able to make it on those 2 days. So it's been an amazing start, for seniors to be able to get in there and, learn Kempo. So those are the 3 main things that I'm doing out here currently to spread Kempo.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I like that, especially maybe underserved community in teaching Kempo to seniors. I think there should be more of that out there for folks.
For sure. And here's the other thing, Reggie. I mean, it's 60 years old today is not what it was 40 years ago. People are more active. And they're living longer, of course, and also just the activity levels. I mean, people over there, they're great. And it's so much fun. I mean, and this kind of goes back to what I mentioned early on here in this interview was, there just weren't that many schools around. I want to do Kung Fu. I couldn't. Well, I'm 47 and I'm thinking, man, someone say 67, so 20 years older than me, and there was nothing around for them, so it's like maybe something they always wanted to do but never had a chance just because it wasn't around, man. Now it's like, oh, I can actually finally get a chance to do this. I have time, and it's right here where I go every twice a week anyway. And yeah, it's been a really neat program so far.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. I just, I kind of thank the stars a little bit that, my father-in-law, he just, turned, 70 last week. And, I kind of thank the stars that he doesn't he doesn't train martial arts, because he's more active than me somehow with all the training that I do. But he does kayaking and swimming and running and all this good stuff, and he would be a complete beast if if he got into the arts. So maybe.
Well, it's really great. I mean, so my wife, she trains here. Like I told you, I came back here and we were talking, and then we ended up getting married. So she does Kempo at our school, and then my father, who never did any martial arts in his life, he started at the school at 75,
Nice,
and
nice.
he's 78 now. And yeah, I mean, and it's really neat to see, folks that just never had the opportunity before, never really thought about it. And it's like, oh, they're doing it.
Exactly, exactly. I like it. I like it. All right, so we are flying through our time here, which I love, but it's a blessing and a curse. So, of course, you will get the have the invitation to be back on again to get more of your story. But we're going to move to one other
Sure.
point before we hit to our what I call the lightning round here. So. Since there isn't a universal standard of what it means to be a black belt, what it means to earn a black belt after you've reached black belt, what it means to continue to uh, exemplify that particular status, I've been asking my guests what in their own opinion, feeling, thoughts about what it means to be a black belt. Of course, there's no right or wrong answers, but it's all very, very personal. But just, yeah, what do you think is your thought process around being a black belt, or earning a black belt, being worthy to wear a black belt, and what it means to be a black belt?
Whew. Well, I mean, there are a lot of things. So I guess whatever rank you're wearing, the higher it is according to whatever governing body, just really means more responsibility. So it's,
Oh, for sure.
you should, we all should strive to live up to what we perceive it to be, right? Like look at social media, right? People put all this stuff on social media. They put the best stuff out there, and then you meet them in real life. You're like, oh man, yeesh. I used to say with social media, you put your best stuff out there, and then as an actor, you want to get everything out there and be seen. But the point is to live up to it when people actually meet you. And I think a black belt, a brown belt, a green belt, a yellow belt, anybody is that is in a school, or and there's going to be someone in that school with a lower rank, should be able to look up to them and have a respect for them, and be able to ask them questions, and feel supported in those questions. Now, it doesn't mean we don't have some fun, and they might tease each other a little bit or whatever. I mean, it's that you want to have fun in there, and but at the same time, it is a greater responsibility, I would say, and just you should try to act and be in such a way that exemplifies what the rank should be. I think I danced around that well enough.
No, that works. Like I said,
I
it's
hope
all.
I got you the answer you're looking
No,
for.
it's all personal. We all have our interpretations, and we
I
have
will say
our
I will say this, Reggie. So years ago, one of my goals was to reach black belt in 10 different arts, and I mean, technically, I'm at 4 right now, and I don't know if I really am still shooting for 10. But the idea was, it's going to keep me learning, keep me hungry, strapping on the white belt continually, right? But what I thought was, and believe, it's like once you get to black belt, just as a matter of function, you haven't mastered it, but you kind of know what you don't know, and until you get to that level, you really don't, you just don't know. And I think that that's one of the things about black belt, and we talk about that's when you really start learning, and it's kind of, I think that's part of it is, you start to kind of understand. Um, so maybe that's part of it too with, what's a black belt? It's someone that kind of knows what they don't know, but they're really starting to learn. Maybe that's it. And I've known that, I've noticed that a lot more. And of course, when I was teaching at Brian Hawkins School, Master Hawkins School, I mean, they always say, oh, you learn more when you teach. And yes, I was learning more as I taught. But I will tell you, since I opened my own school and my poor students are stuck with me, holy cow. I mean, I'm learning more and more and more because ultimately, it's up to the student to learn, but if they're not learning, that's my fault. So it's a great responsibility that I feel that I must take on, and because I want to do a good job for my students. And so that's another thing is just, uh, openness and willingness to learn uh, should get greater as well.
You're very nice. Yeah, I like it. I like it. All right, so we are going to move into our lightning round here. So I've got a few little questions for you as we head towards wrapping up. The first one being, do you have a favorite technique?
Oh, yeah, fatal deviation.
I'm fairly sure my last 3 guests said that. So
okay, entwined maces is right there too. I mean, both of those I really love. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
Fatal deviation, that was probably my favorite.
That's definitely a popular one. So great answer. I like
but
it.
I mean, and then so for practical too, like I love 5 swords rolling into shielding hammer into unfurling crank. I mean, and so it's like, how they just go back and forth. I actually did a seminar years ago for Black Belt Magazine, one of these online deals, and that's what I did. Is I think I looked at fatal deviation, but definitely 5 swords into shielding hammer, and just like them going together. But I know we're in a lightning round. I'll let you.
No. I just call it that because I haven't thought of a better name for it. But
yeah, no, that's great.
great answer. All right. Next question. Do you have a favorite form and or set?
I love short 3. Short 3 is probably my favorite. I enjoy 4, and 5 and 6. They're all great. And then, I finally was like, oh yeah, duh, inward, outward, upward, downward. So, I mean, I don't know why these patterns never presented themselves to me. And now I'm like, oh yeah, now I see these patterns I didn't see before. But then, of course, short 3, you get into the techniques. And then once you're up to 5, by that point in the UKS, you basically have been through all your techniques. So then it's really plug and play both sides, as long as you understand transitions and directions. So, I mean, there's a lot there. But short 3 for me, because it's like you can just go, you don't have to race through, but you can give every technique, power, snap, precision, footwork, hopefully. And, it's 13 techniques, whatever. So you're not like dying like you are at the end of 5 or 6 or even 4.
Exactly.
You take a big breath halfway through and go, oh man, I'm halfway. No, short 3, I mean, it's just do your thing.
Very nice. I like it. All right. Next question. Do you have a favorite weapon?
I mean, it just depends. Like like I like our nunchuck, like nunchaku set. I like that. But practical weapon, I like a karambit. The reason I like the karambit is in California, when I was there, as a folding knife, you couldn't carry anything that had more than, I think, a 4-inch blade. And it was just like a nice, something you could actually carry that was legal. It was now don't take that as legal advice if you're listening at home. Consult your attorney. But at the time I was there, I believe that it was a legal thing you could carry. So actually, my weapons form that I did, and was it 2nd or 3rd degree? You have to do a weapons form, 3rd degree. And I did it with a karambit because I'm like, well, I'd like to do it with something that would actually be practical. And I actually, when I was getting ready for that, I did a little bit of very, very small amount, but a little bit of training for knives with Grandmaster Pick. And then I met up with Master Angelo Collado a couple of times, and he loves the Karambit. So a little bit of exposure for the Karambit, especially through Master Collado. But that's one that I like, and I would say is probably the best answer.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that as well, and of course, Mr. Peck and Mr. Collado, they're up there in the Kempo greatness for many reasons, but yeah, their work with knives and such are top notch. So I like it. I like it. All right. Next question. If there's anyone that you could train with, living or dead, fictional or non-fictional, besides Ed Parker, who would that be?
Oof. Yeah. Besides Master Parker. Really? That's,
it
I know I had
it could be people you've trained with. It could be people you want to train with. Anybody ever, except Ed Parker, is fair game.
Yeah. You know, I've been really fortunate to get to meet and work with a lot of the folks I wanted to work with. So yeah, I mean, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, well, train with Bruce Lee. Well, that would be cool. There'll be a lot of cool folks, and like Lao Boon, Thunderbolt, like some of those guys
Nice.
from back then. That would be amazing. One of the guys at Mills, you mentioned Mills a while ago, Master Mills, and I just watching some of his just like wham, smack, and hit. I was like, I don't know if I want to be on the other side of that, but I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I've talked to a number of people that have felt the power of Paul Mills, and yeah, that's I guess it's good for the story, but not good for for the body.
But just unrelated to like the Kempo world, I mean, I did get to meet Jean-Claude a few times at Gold's Gym, and I got to meet Cynthia Rothrock and did a little seminar, when I was out there, a little seminar with Don Wilson. So, and then I didn't get to work out with Michael Jai White, but I did meet him. So it's like a lot of the guys I've at least met and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I just been very fortunate with Master Hawkins, and then some of my other seniors like Mr. Idol and Mr. Greg and Mr. West, and all of our guys out at BK, Brian Hawkins Kempo. And then there's some other gentlemen here in Ohio. Now that I'm here, of course, I looked around to see who was where. And there's some gentlemen up in Mentor, which is close to Cleveland. Mr. Doyle, he's a ninth, and I think like you, I think he came through from Tracy Kempo before transitioning over into American Kenpo, and they're part of the Huck Planis lineage. So I went up there for a seminar with them, and basically now I go up there every couple months, and there's a good group of guys, and looks like some of them are going to start coming down to Zanesville maybe every other month or so, which will be great to help, get that hands-on training. So I wish I could give you a good, strong answer, but I appreciate everybody I've come up with and I get to work with currently, like some of my guys, Golden and Galley and Tan and, and Anthony and all those guys from BHKK that I came up with were all great.
Yeah, just like I said earlier, I'm jealous that you've had connections with a lot of the greats, and yeah, no, that's a great list.
How far are you from Tapper, Steve Tapper? I don't know. He's in Texas. I have no idea where in relationship to you.
He's actually not too far from me. It's kind of like 45 minutes away, and I've trained at his place a number of times, and when Mr. Hawkins has been out here, went and got to work with them. Unfortunately,
it's funny. So Mr. Tapper, he's not light-handed. Let's put it that way.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we both tested. I guess he was testing for fifth, I think, and I was testing for second or third. Or, I don't remember what I was testing for, but I was testing, and we were both testing, and we were in the same technique line, and I could still kind of see Mr. Idol and Mr. Hawkins when I was in the line right behind Mr. Tapper, and he laid into me at one point, and I got to give it back a little bit, and we had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. No, Mr. Tapper and all of his students are uh, uh, they
Yeah, good guys.
they're bangers for sure.
Yeah.
I feel it every time I go train with them. So yeah, no, I love it. I just wish they were a little bit closer to me or had a little bit more open schedule, or I would definitely go train with them more.
Yeah, I just
But
was curious. I mean, we all
mm,
find our places that work for our schedule and
mhm.
just our life, but I just wasn't sure where you were geographically
But
speaking.
yeah, no, they're not too far away, and so shout out to Tapper's Kempo, and I'm still working on. I want to get Mr. Tapper on here. I know he's not exactly in for the interviews and all that stuff, but I'm gonna keep working on you. So be
There
prepared.
you go.
All right. So, last question here. What is something that one always motivates you to train, or something you'd like to put out for others to motivate them to train? So, I use the example of the movie Rocky IV. We get the snow and the chopping the wood and running through the snow, and Hearts of Fires playing and all that good stuff. And I see that, and I'm ready to go hit the mats, hit the gym, hit the bags, and do what I got to do. So, what is something that always motivates you to train, or something you want to put out to motivate others to train?
I mean, I like all of those things you mentioned. That gets me fired up if they're playing. I'm just not that wise to do that. My old voicemail would say, "Take action today to improve your tomorrow." And I've kind of always been wired to put off the immediate gratification, putting that off for a future gain. It's just that's one thing that just kind of inherently I think do, or maybe it's because I did martial arts when I was younger. Not 100% sure why that's part of who I am. But all that to say, you know, I definitely understand and appreciate that when you put the work in, um, the rewards do and will eventually come. And this is kind of a business thing I want to mention. One of the jobs that I've had over the years or businesses, I was a personal trainer. And I remember I had a package, two students I would train. It was $600. I never sold one package of that because it was two people training together for $600. And it just never happened. But I'm like, it's just there. I just made it. And then I remember I dropped exactly $600. And I can't remember if it was for a website or for a threefold brochure or whatever. I don't remember what it was, but it was $600 to the penny. And it was less than 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from two sisters. Hey, we want to train together. How much is that? $600. And like the next day, they came in and signed up for that exact amount. And it wasn't like they saw that, they didn't see the website or that brochure. It was something unrelated to that. But it was one of those moments where it was like, that's exactly what I just put out. And it's come back. And of course, they continued to train and it grew from there. But that was one of those moments where you go, that's just, it's too right to not be something. So when I have those moments where it's like, oh man, I don't want to train, or, I just don't feel like it. I just remember, like, if I just keep, putting one foot in front of the other, the rewards, they do eventually come. And many times, whether it's been tempo training or going to the gym, like I get on leg press and just put on lightweight and go for 50, as in 50 reps instead of my normal, like 5 sets of 10. I would do 50 in a row. And next thing you know, you have a great workout. But lifting in the gym, tempo training, a lot of times when I've had one of those days where I'm like, I don't know, that's the day that something clicks there's one little thing that I never noticed before, or something I've been working on, and it just clicks. And I guess that just stays in my mind, and I just know this could be that day. And so I just get off my butt and go because I know in the long run it's worth it. And, and it's just habits. You build your habits, and then if you build the right habits, they'll take you where you want to go.
Exactly. Very nice. And it just made me think about something that I heard kind of recently. I heard it from my jiu-jitsu instructor, but I have also heard it on a commercial, so I don't know if it's just something in the air or who came up with it first, but it was turning one day into day one. And I just heard that, and I just fell in love with that idea of, especially being in the beginning of the year. Everybody's, I'm going to go train one day. I'm going to go to the gym next week. I'm going to go to class next week or whatever. And it's like, no, don't wait to next week. Do it today. Get to it today. There's no reason to not start. So I like that.
100%. And I will tell you too, like I go through my phases, right? There are 3 kinds of books I like to read, and it's martial arts books I'll read if I'm in the right mood. Personal finance books if I'm in the right mood, and personal self-improvement when it comes. So like right now, today I started reading The Wealthy Barber, which I love, the Dave Ramsey books, the Kiyosaki books, all these kinds of financial books. I've never read this particular, it's right over here, that's what I'm looking at. I've never read that particular book. So I've, 100 pages today, basically. I'm just, because I'm in the mood to read it. The Way of the Warrior, or, different Infinite Insights. If I'm in the mood, I'll just read the whole thing in 2 days or whatever. And when it comes to motivation, Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, just classics like that, Power of Positive Thinking. So those are the reason I mention all that is those books are great for that, just motivation to just putting that work out there and seeing a reward for it later.
Very nice. All right, so we are at our final piece of business today, and that is shameless self-promotion. So you can plug anything that you'd like, or if there's anything that we haven't mentioned that you wanted to bring up, you now have the floor, and then we will close out from there.
Great. Yeah. So basically our primary school is located in Zanesville, Ohio, which is about 45 miles east of Columbus off of Route 70. We're in the Colony Square Mall. We have an excellent facility. I mean, it's better than I ever would have imagined. So we have been there now in the mall for 3 years. We've opened our own location there a year ago. Roster's growing. We have a wonderful, and everybody says this, well, we're a family school. We're a family school. But part of the thing one of the things that I do is I have classes that are geared to ages 7 through adult. So parents can literally be training with their kids during class. And of course I have classes that are broken up too, but that's something that I think is really important, and something I definitely want to keep going. So parents can work out with their kids during some of the classes, which is awesome. And so we're in Zanesville there. The other location is in Pataskala at the West Licking YMCA. We have classes there Wednesday night, and same thing. We have little kids class, ages 4 to 6, and we have our ages 7 and up. So we're out there. And then 1 o'clock on Mondays, we're at the Muskingum County Center for Seniors, downtown Zanesville. And I'm pretty easy to find. It's Ian Lauer. If you're trying to find our school, just look up IanLauersKempo.com. And that's IanLauersKempo.com. And if you don't know how to spell it with an N instead of an M, I don't know what to tell you. But we're there. And also, of course, Facebook and Instagram, Ian Lauer's Kempo. And yeah, if you're traveling through, I would love to meet you and have you come out and share the mats with us and go from there. Like I said, we've got some guys that are going to start coming down from the Cleveland area a couple times a month. We've got a guy in Pennsylvania that's looking to come out, a guy from Michigan looking to come down occasionally. So yeah, it would be just excellent to have some more folks come in that have been, whether it's Tracy Kempo or whatever lineage coming through American Kenpo, will be awesome.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, I thank you so much for taking the time to be on and share your story. Of course, we'll have to get you back on to get into more of your story and more other points of cross training and other rat holes and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely got to talk more about some of the acting stuff.
Well, speaking of acting, real quick, yeah, I got to tell you
Okay.
another person that was super gracious with me and was Mr. Speakman. So, obviously with his relationship with Master Hawkins and all that, I went out to Vegas a couple times and he was nice enough to spend some time with me and do some work with me too. So, I mean, I don't, it just, it's been super blessed.
Yeah, for sure. So that is going to do it for our time today. Once again, thank you so much for being on. I'm excited to get this put together and share with my followers, listeners, now viewers, I guess. Still kind of pinching myself about trying to do this video thing, but I can't thank you enough, and I will let you know when this is ready to go out. And once again, just
Excellent.
thank you for being on.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good to see you.